Ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran entered into force minutes earlier. Several Iranian missiles hit different areas of occupied Palestine. The cessation of hostilities began at 7:30 a.m. Tehran time and 7 a.m. Tel Aviv time. Previously, Iran launched missiles. Ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran entered into force minutes earlier. Several Iranian missiles hit different areas of occupied Palestine. The cessation of hostilities began at 7:30 a.m. Tehran time and 7 a.m. Tel Aviv time. Previously, Iran launched missiles against several Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Beersheba. In the latter, the impact of a large caliber missile left at least 11 dead and 22 wounded. Although rescue efforts continue, the death toll could increase. The city of Beersheba hosts a technology park where high-tech projects are developed, and the intelligence and command headquarters of the Zionist army is located. And we continue now with a deeper analysis with our next guest, and we welcome Dr. Elahi Nouri, professor at the University of Tehran. Welcome, doctor.
Hello everyone, thanks for having me. It is my pleasure to be here to talk about Iran.
And for the first time, I think ever, Israel has faced a strong response of its criminal actions. Not only Israel, but the U.S. also following Sunday's U.S. bombing of peaceful nuclear facilities in Iran. How important is this for the sovereignty of Iran, sending a clear message that it won't be bullied or submitted, and also for the region as well?
To talk about trustability of Israel and the United States, we should take a brief look to the history of this 12 days war. Actually, from the beginning, Iran has been the moral player of these tensions. For example, Israel began its strikes against Iranian people in the form of fast and surprise attacks against ordinary people, residential buildings, and scientists and military commanders. And this means that, the war policy of Israel was based on fast and surprise attacks. But from the initiation of a retaliatory operation of Iranian government against the strikes made by this unprovoked and unjustifiable war, the Iranian officials tried to make public statement regarding the targeting of some military site, and warned and asked ordinary people to leave this targeted site in order to save their lives and protect themselves. And this means that from the beginning, Iran tried to save the lives of people. And in contrast to the war policy of Israel, which claimed that I am trying to actually target military sites, but in reality it targeted ordinary civilians, hospitals and residential buildings. This means that from the beginning the moral player has been Iran, and Israel is not so trustful. In addition to this point, if we take a general look to the history of Israel, truces and ceasefires with other nations, if we go to the recent example of a truce between Hamas and Israel, we could see that in spite of confirming truce by Israeli officials, the regime continues to actually attack against innocent Palestinian people. And moreover, if we go to the excuse of any initiation of this war, we could see that Iran was in the middle of negotiation with Western powers regarding its peaceful nuclear activities. And if we consider also this point that, before this actually negotiation, Iran had signed JCPOA with Western powers. This means that, and if we consider that US withdraw unilaterally from this agreement, this means that Iran's return to the table of negotiation, in spite of, that experience of JCPOA, means that Iran is ready and, is open to any diplomacy and negotiation in terms of its nuclear activities. But interestingly, immediately after this negotiation, and actually we was in the middle of negotiation when Israel attacked innocent Iranian people. And more importantly, in spite of this happening, Iran also decided to participate in another round of negotiation with E3. And immediately after this negotiation, United States attacked Iran nuclear facilities. And this means that Iran was ready and open to negotiation. But who ruined the table of negotiation were Israel and the United States. And this means that in this regard also they are not so trustful. And if we add another point to this, this untrustful actually space, we could reach to the recent happening. Some hours before initiation of this ceasefire, actually Israel did its deadliest strikes against Iranian people in its capital and some important cities. And when Iran was responding these attacks, it was accused of violating the ceasefire. And although this accusation were denied by Iranian officials, but the main point is that Israel Defense Minister asserted that I'm going to answer these acts in a very violent manner. And this means that although Iran and Israel has announced ceasefire for 12 hours, but this ceasefire, this temporary ceasefire, doesn't mean that the hostilities between Iran and Israel has ended. As long as Israel and its allies continue to attack sovereignty of Iranian people, attack innocent people, and try to target their peaceful and verified nuclear activities, this means that this ceasefire is not so certain.
And finally, what is your take on what may come next for the region? Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro called on Monday for a global peace summit. Do you think recent events will push a will for this summit to be held on true results be achieved?
In this regard, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Latin American officials and friends from various parts of the region, and most importantly, President Nicolás Maduro of Venezuela, actually expressing their support and solidarity with Iranian people means so much to us Iranian people. And the main point is that actually this World Peace Summit is a very good initiative for showing to the world that Global South and various countries of the world and various institutions who are supporting the legitimate and rightful rights of various people are seeking peace, and they are not actually committing acts of crime against humanity and acts of aggression against integrity and sovereignty of other nations. And this means that this World Peace Summit is a very good initiative, but we should be aware that Western powers, including the United States, Great Britain, France, Germany, that have shown the real face in the reaction against the act of war and act of crime made by Israel against Iran, are not going to support this kind of initiatives. And not only they are not supporting these kind of initiatives, but also they are trying to make some problems in terms of making this kind of peace among various countries and peoples, and initiatives in terms of peace all around the world. So I'm so hopeful, and I hope that maybe this kind of summit could bring various people under the flag of humanity and show the world that they could make the world better with supporting peace and not attacking diplomacy and not attacking sovereignty and solidarity and integrations of a nation state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We were speaking to Dr. Elahe Nouri, professor at the University of Tehran, in the context of the ongoing situation in the Middle East. And with this interview, we have a short break coming up. But first, remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll be using different formats, updates, and more. The United Nations Security Council met on Tuesday to discuss the current tensions in the Middle East, shortly after the ceasefire between Iran and Israel began. The meeting discussed the future of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action launched in 2015 for the development of nuclear weapons. That program is in effective limbo since the U.S. withdrawal in 2018 and Iran's rejection of parts of the deal. United Nations Political Affairs Chief Rosemary DiCarlo described the U.S.-mediated ceasefire overnight between Israel and Iran as a significant achievement and an opportunity to avoid catastrophic escalation. Iranian ambassador to the United Nations Amir Saeed Iravani accused also the United States government of supporting the Israeli attacks on Iranian nuclear and civilian facilities and questioned the Zionist regime's justification for the aggression.
With the full U.S. support, Israel has targeted Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, civilians, and civilian infrastructure. Israel falsely justified these attacks on Iran's peaceful nuclear program as an imminent threat. This claim is baseless and has no legal base. In reality, Israel, the region's only undeclared nuclear-armed entity and non-party to NPT, refused IAEA inspections and monitoring, while Iran complies with the NPT and has subjected its nuclear program to the most rigorous IAEA monitoring.
On the other hand, Chinese representative to the United Nations, Fu Kong, accused the United States of initiating the Israeli-Iranian crisis by withdrawing from the nuclear talks with the Persian nation in 2018, by applying economic and financial sanctions against it, and by attacking its nuclear facilities during the recent conflict.
China has noted that some members of this council have done nothing but accuse Iran of violating its non-proliferation obligations in an attempt to justify the military actions of Israel and the United States. Here, China wishes to remind these countries of the following basic facts. It is none other than the United States that started the Iranian nuclear crisis. The United States unilaterally withdrew from the JCPOA in 2018. Thereafter, it reinstated and escalated unilateral sanctions against Iran and adopted measures of maximum pressure which prevented Iran from enjoying the economic dividends conferred by the agreement and forced the country to reduce fulfilling its obligations under the agreement. It is again the United States, throwing to the wind its own credibility, launched military strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities, undermining the negotiation process initiated by itself, leading the Iranian nuclear issue to yet another impasse and resulting in an abrupt escalation of the regional situation.
The permanent representative of Russia to the United Nations, Vasily Benevencia, declared the objective of the draft resolution while stressing the support of the Russian Federation for a peaceful solution.
The Iranian nuclear program can only be resolved through diplomacy, through negotiated solutions, which are based on international law and the principle of equal and indivisible security. The Russian Federation consistently has supported a peaceful solution to the concerns surrounding the Iranian nuclear program, which is acceptable to all parties as well as the international community as a whole. Here, the greatest responsibility lies on the UN Security Council, which is obligated to take the requisite measures. This is the goal of the draft resolution proposed by Russia together with our Chinese and Pakistani partners. Today, we are proposing to our Council colleagues an updated text that takes into account the latest developments and aims to bring about a lasting ceasefire as well as oversight of that ceasefire by the Security Council through Secretary General reporting.
U.S. President Donald Trump warned Israel not to violate the ceasefire with Iran. The U.S. President urged Israel to abstain from dropping bombs and warned that if it did so, it would be a serious violation. On his social media Truth Social, Trump demanded that Israel withdraw its aircrafts back to its territory. In addition, the head of state declared that both Israel and Iran have violated the ceasefire and indicated that he is not happy with Tehran and Tel Aviv, before adding that he is really unhappy with Israel.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
Russia confirms its commitment to finding solutions to end the current tensions between Israel and Iran. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that despite the ceasefire in effect, it is premature to draw any definitive conclusions. This is due to possible violations of the ceasefire caused by military maneuvers in the conflict zones, while several countries around the world, as well as international political actors, expressed their support for an end to hostilities between Tel Aviv and Tehran.
We are still ready to be a moderator if the parties directly involved are interested in this and ask us to participate. President Putin especially emphasized that we did not impose ourselves as mediators in any way.
Hello. On the occasion of the commemoration of the 104th anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo and the Day of the Bolivarian Army, President Nicolás Maduro addressed the people to mark the day and reiterated his call for world peace. Let's listen. Wicked compatriots, glorious army of the Bolivarian Revolution, of the army of the Venezuelan liberator of Venezuela, noble people of our republic. Today, we are commemorating 204 years of the magnificent victory of the Battle of Carabobo, the most bright of our military campaign that surprised the world on the day of our army, Bolivarian army. This is not a simple date for us. If we understand the importance that had and has this heroic feat for our history, or the history of our homeland, Carabobo is the point of no return of our history. Unstoppable history is the instant in which we stopped being a colony from a foreign empire, and we dare to be a republic united. That day, our sovereignty was burned. Carabobo triumphed the idea of the great Colombia, and from that strength comes our existence as a nation, with a right to draft its own destiny. We came from nothing, and in 1810, that night, April 19th, we were barely a shutout of freedom, of of hope. We were no republic, we were not a state, we weren't a people, we had no army. 11 years later, we grew up, we defeated the colonialist empire of Spain. We were an army, we were a people, we were a newborn state, and we were defeating the army, most powerful army of the planet Earth. They had their military priority, and Bolivar next to the Catirepáes and Negro Primero, and those shirtless and bare feet on the ground, they built a popular army. That army freed Margarita, all the West, all the East. They were to release our Guyana, including our Guyana Esequiba, and they founded the ongoing homeland, victorious homeland. And today, from this victory that is very much alive and beats on our hearts, the heart of a homeland that is growing constantly, we can say liberators and women liberator. We are standing still on foot, and we are triumphing. The victory of June 24th of 1821 wasn't just an act of war, it was an act of national unity. Bolivar achieved to gather the strength of indigenous peoples, Afro-descendants, farmers, to the white men, plus united under the same flag, yellow, red, and blue. It was no army, oligarchic army, aristocratic army. It was solely popular and crossed mixture and liberator. It was forged on horse and on foot with their own tactics and beliefs. This was the most profound revolution was the cultural. Carabobo is our spiritual in Carabobo, Hernán Cortés died. That unity was born from a political ethic that promulgated the equality, social equality above all. Bolivar was not just a leader, political leader, he was also a moral leader, continental leader, defender of the right to self-determination without imperialist mandates. Carabobo, since then, is not just from Venezuela, it's from all of our America, Latin America, Caribbean America. There, it was the beginning of the end of the Spanish Empire and the newborn of the great homeland. According to Bolivar, in that moment, the Carabobo triumph was the triumph of the arms of Colombia, that great homeland that is calling from the future with the voice of a hopeful people. But the struggle hasn't stopped here. Today, that struggle continues. We are facing new domination forces, criminal sanctions, blockades, psychological warfares, hybrid warfares, and in the face of our eyes, the threat of a world war there. That is why Carabobo is a mirror from the present, and the answer is the same one: unity, clarity, courage, and trust in our people. Our Bolivarian armed forces is not an apparatus, is a conscience, a life conscience. Its doctrine is Bolivarian, popular, defender of the homeland. In each soldier, in each militiaman, Carabobo is still very fresh and alive. If something Venezuela needs is that its youth receives that legacy, not with nostalgia, but audacity. Being a youth, men and women, is to be a protagonist of the new Carabobo, is to organize, is to build community, is to reject any type of individualism. The struggle is won by values, ideas, and loyalty to the homeland. You youth are the new spinal of the independence of the 21st century. Carabobo opens the path that will reach until Ayacucho, that it will reach until the foundation of the Great Colombia, and the idea that our Latin America march in a single power bloc, very much united, and the dream of Bolivar is unfulfilled, it is on the making, and is victorious in these new historical times. Venezuela is the great bastion of resistance of the Bolivar's dreams, and even when many betrayed him, we remain firm. 1 year before Carabobo, Santana, Trujillo, Bolivar, and Murillo signed the first modern treaty of the international law, humanitarian law, and I'm naming it a true deal, sacred deal. There it was born the idea of a world of principles and respect and humanity. Today, when Zionism is threatening Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, and the Islamic Republic of Iran, when Zionism is upgrading the countries of the world, the peoples of the world, Venezuela from Carabobo, victorious Carabobo, is called for an international summit for the craziness and madness of Hitler and fascism that destroyed a great part of humanity do not repeat again. We ask for respect of the self-determinations of the peoples. We demand respect for the public and international respect. We demand respect for the right of the peace of the peoples, and demand the end of all imperialist wars and the defense of the self to life as the most sacred right that our peoples have. No more adventures, Nazi fascism adventures that threat the entire planet. Today, on the day of our glorious army, Bolivarian army, in which I want to congratulate, and we say in one single voice that no one made a mistake with Venezuela. We are the same of yesterday. We are Carabobo very alive. We are Bolivar. We are Negro Primero. But 2 centuries later, we are wiser and more united and more free and more ours. We came from Carabobo, and as long as Carabobo is alive, Venezuela will be an example of freedom, of justice, and rebelliousness. Here in Carabobo we say, long live to the spirit of our liberators, long live to the immortal fire that lights us, long live to the great homeland of Bolivar, long live to the army of the Bolivarian army of the people of Venezuela, long live Carabobo forever. We will prevail. And we were listening to President Nicolás Maduro as he reiterated his call for world peace during the commemoration of the 204th anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo and the Day of the Bolivarian Army. This is all for the moment, but stay tuned with teleSUR English for more. Ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran entered into force minutes earlier. Several Iranian missiles hit different areas of occupied Palestine. The cessation of hostilities began at 7:30 a.m. Tehran time and 7 a.m. Tel Aviv time. Previously, Iran launched missiles against several Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and